So there was this storehouse of good that was at the top of Sandia Peak. And I traveled up there with a friend to just have a new viewpoint. And to move through the fog, there was a lot of fog up there, and they're amongst the flora and fauna, you know, the flora and fauna twins. That was just incredible. I had not been there before. And to go through the back of what I usually have the view of the east side of the mountain here from Albuquerque. But it's a whole new world up there on the east side, isn't it? It's a whole new world. And that's in alignment with our theme of creative expression and creativity. And we're going to be asking 3 questions today, and our theme is ask. So we're going to ask 3 questions. It's why, and it's not like the why me, like the victim mentality, but it's a why without having a purpose of an answer. It's a why to tickle the curiosity, to tickle the harmony that's ever available right there and then. And then we're going to ask, well, what if? And then we're going to ask, why not? Those 3 questions we're going to ask. And we have a book of the month. It's called Disciplined Dreaming by Josh Linkner. And it's just an incredible place to be because it invites us to ask, and then to prepare, and then to ignite, and then to launch something new. So there's that newness, like going on the far side, or I missed the far side with Gary Larson. But going on that far side of our experience to nurture and have whatever wants to emerge, to nurture, and in essence to grow our capacity for creativity. So to enlarge that capacity. I also had an experience out in the wilderness too. The beach that I usually go to up Corrales Road, the beach was gone. It was totally gone because the river was so high. So I had to explore a new territory. I went through the wilderness and I came out on the trail. I came out on the other side, just like I came out around the mountain. And Henry David Thoreau writes in Walden, to be a Columbus to whole new continents and worlds within you, opening new channels, not of trade, but of thought. That's our invitation, to have a new thought, a new harmonizing thought, that one is of awareness, one is of creativity, one is of the newness of discovering that other side, and they have that 360 view. And I love the synchronicity on how we're invited this week to ask those questions, especially the what if and the why not. So even if we ask those 2 questions, in essence, creativity breaks the mold. You know how you have Jell-O and you can put whatever you want in it, the straw, here I am talking about dessert again. to break the mold, you know, we've got the pineapple and the mandarin oranges and all that, bananas, all those to go bananas really, and break the mold. So we can do that, and to have that mold, asking and preparing and discovering and igniting and launching, and then asking ourselves to break the mold. So that's what happens and I used to fly around the country, and I've had the most fun professions. It's like, how fun is my life? It's just amazing. I used to fly around, and I would have people have connection, and they would break the mold. They would think of something new. They would think of a new way to launch whatever it was they were launching. So I'd go to these trade shows, and I would help negotiate whatever needed to be negotiated and come up with whatever agreements wanted to be in agreement, and I helped develop some business for a software company. And it took getting out of the box and breaking the mold of what was possible. They looked at new horizons. So for instance, Red Bull did the same kind of thing. There was a new category before Red Bull was invented. They invented an energy drink. Not that it's the most healthy thing, perhaps, but Michael Dell sold computers directly to the consumer. When there were all these middle folk, he decided to break the mold and have a new idea, have that creative idea. So in essence, Dell asked the question, well, why? Why are people having all these obstacles in those ways that you go through this channel? He discovered new channels like Columbus, direct channel, much like we have direct TV or we have direct connection with spirit. We have that direct harmony. We have the direct connection that's available. And then also jazz. There's a jazz legend, Charlie Parker. He challenged what was conventional. He broke the mold and got out of the box of his creative expression. And he may have used some of the same notes, he just used them in a different way. He had his own style. He had his own creativity, and he discovered new chords, and when he put them together, even in the same framework of music, music is filled with possibility. He explored that possibility and was able to get beyond whatever those restrictions were, whatever was bounding him, and he set a new tone, he set a new trend. So Charlie Parker, he would succeed through his improv. And with the Dale family last night, I heard a lot of improv last night. Boy, did I hear a lot of improv. And taking risks. So our next slide is about having a bit more improv and taking risks in our life. And yes, it was humorous. It added lightness. It added that sense of connection and camaraderie with this family. And much like jazz musicians, they take risks and then they expand their capability, expand that which we're capable of. And so not only are the master guidelines, those guidelines for playing music, mastered, but then as soon as they're mastered, in essence, to break that mold and to try something new, to have that creativity, that's that exploration, much like Columbus. So jazz musicians can let go and just be in the groove. So imagine walking out of here today and just letting go and letting be and being in the groove. Much like our musical guests today. They just let go in what their natural creativity is and their natural composition. So we all have the natural composition of what we're dreaming up in our lives. There's also a formula in jazz music. Michael Gold, he talks about having a successful life and being creative, and he just happens to be a jazz musician too. We actually have someone who's oovooing in today with us as part of our extended community who has a jazz quartet. So there's all this and more, all that jazz. So there's a formula of being not only autonomous and owning our own experience, being accountable, having whatever that open communication is, having whatever the connection is, having that autonomy and that self-reliance, much like Thoreau and Emerson and all those transcendentalists would transcend whatever the condition, transcend whatever that thought, the current thought was. And it could be, I'll give you another example, is Microsoft may have missed out on a boat when they were focused on their past history. They were focused on their past, and they may have missed out on the tablet. They may have missed out on the cell phone market. They have missed out because they were so just doing whatever they were doing. And yeah, they're successful. They're successful doing what they're doing, but they missed out on Kindle. They missed out on a lot of that. So there's a lot of apps that sure work inside that framework, much like Charlie Parker, the jazz musician, had that framework. And yet there was innovation. There was something beyond that. So as we're having that autonomy, as we have that passion in life, we can be driven by something larger. We can be driven by something that's co-creating itself through us, in, through, as, and becoming ourselves even more fully. We can also take a risk and not be bound by our current environment, whether that's an environment of doubt, whether that's an environment of hesitating to open a bill, whether that's an environment of having a conversation with a health professional, or whether that's having a conversation with a family member, whatever that is, to not be bound by that anticipation of what may not be so good. And to have an environment that, in essence, celebrates exploring something new. So we can have innovation in this space. We have innovations of new ideas, and then there's rewards. We can have rewarding results and fulfillment and satisfaction from creative expression. And I had creative expression when I was up with the Johnson family, part of our high desert ensemble, and I was up with the Johnson family at the Haymes, and Ava and I were reading a book. Anyone ever read, like, Where's Waldo? And it was like having, it was a book that was similar to that, where you look for an image, you look for something new, And so whether that's a crown or a potted plant on top of a castle, or whether it's a boat going down a river, or whether it's a smiling person on the other page, turning that page and discovering something new. So I was learning from Ava, my 9-year-old friend, on discovering something new and asking, well, why not? Why not look for it here? What if? What if it's over there? What if and why not? And discovering something new. So we can take this into our daily life and discover even more fully that we live in a world that works for everyone. All those characters in those books discovered something new. There was something right beside them, and to look for that image, to look for that newness. So in this place of listening, what we do is we discover that there's new ideas, that there's new rewards that can be found, and that as we listen for that awareness, for the connection that's already there, those items in that book, like Where's Waldo, were already there. I just had to see them. And it's much like if you've ever done a puzzle, sometimes it's really beneficial to have the cover of the box. You know? Have you ever tried to do a puzzle without the cover of the box? And to know how those pieces fit together so that you can see that big picture, that larger view. And oftentimes we have our spiritual tools that we can help engage whatever that picture is. Engage that divine ideal, which is sensing and knowing itself even more fully as us. So we have the tool of visioning, much like catching that picture of the puzzle, and then those pieces just naturally come together. And it may take some action. It may take some action steps and awakening to what is possible, and exploring that maybe this piece is over here, and then this piece goes over here, much like looking for the Where's Waldo. Dr. Ken Gordon, the spiritual leader of the Centers for Spiritual Living, he invites us to be devoted in our spiritual practice. And we're in a year of the power of spiritual living. And that's because we're in practice together and we show up. We show up as that love and light. So he invites us to be devoted, to be exploring on this universal journey of self-empowerment. To, in essence, follow this welcome and to believe that there's an awakening happening. There's an awakening happening in our humanness, no matter what. We bring our divinity to our humanness. And so we believe in this awakening and in the spiritual magnificence in order to connect, in order to harmonize, and in order to live in a world that works for everyone, to live in a world that works for us. So we have this source of fulfillment which is ever available, and we can ask about possibilities. And that question why, we may not have an answer. We may not have an answer. What I want to do is explore. We have our book of the month, Disciplined Dreaming, and by the way, we have summer reading if you'd like to still have summer reading and relax. There's fiction. We have among our midst Laura Levon Jordan, who's her practitionership spills over into a fiction book. Her creativity is a great example right here in our community. So we have this fiction book. So if you feel like reading some fiction and just relaxing in summer, she will have a book signing on the 24th of August. And then we have, per usual, we have our theme of the month, which is empowered by a book of the month. And if you don't want to go that far, what we do have is our affirmation card, which will affirm together. And you can bring that home on your program, too. So keep that close to your heart, in your wallet, by your phone, wherever that is. But you can do as much or as little as you'd like. So in asking these questions, I'm going to go on page 61. And what they can do is these questions of why, what if, and why not? We may ask, well, why are rental car lines so long? Why do people wait until it rains to buy an umbrella? We might not have an answer for that, but I do have an answer that there was no beach, so I had to go explore the wilderness because the river was so high. Why is the normal work week 40 hours? We could invent something new around that for ourselves, have a little bit more flexibility and breathe some life into our life's work. Why do people overeat even when they know the dangers of obesity? Now, I've already talked about Jell-O today. And then I've talked a little bit about jazz, but why is classical music less popular than rap? And then why do traffic patterns change from city to city? Even from different microclimates, I notice around here there's some good hours to go and good hours not to go. Like Columbus, traveling at the speed that makes the most sense. And if we ask the what if questions, the what if is, what if we changed, well, here, let me give you this one. What if the stock market increased by 15%? What if we won the lottery? What if we knew that we were totally provided for and all of our resources were taken care of? What if we knew we had the most loving, intimate relationships possible? What if we had the most optimal health? What if we had the most fun in the world? What if we eliminated all meetings that we had here? Whoa! It's harmony, it's connection, it's awareness. Wow. What if I didn't use a spell checker? It's not in the book, but we're making it up. We're making it up as we go along. And then why not? Why do very few men become nurses? Why not? Why not do the number of books read each year by the average American, why is that declining? Why is it not increasing? So why don't we offer each other's free car washes for Christmas, or whatever those questions are? Why not? Why not? Why don't I reach out and call somebody this week who I haven't called in a long time? So if we're willing to have things be the best ever, we can look for them to be the very best ever possible. And to know that that's what we're focused on and that's what we're renewing and refreshing in our mind. And unlike, I'll give you another example. Unlike Max Factor or Maybelline and all these cosmetic companies, there was a company that took them on. And this company said, well, let me ask these questions. Why? What if? And why not? And it was a nail polish company, and now they're the largest nail polish company in the world. And it was amazing because they named, instead of naming their stuff, bright red or forest green or whatever banal kind of thing they had, one of the names was, well, I'm not really a waitress. Another creative name was, we'll always have Paris. Lincoln Park after dark. Your cabana or mine. Yes, I can. Keys to my karma. So there was a framework for that to happen. There were already people who were doing what they were doing, and it just took some new names, perhaps some new delicious colors. You can't make this stuff up. And we all know the story about the ham. Does everyone, not me, but not me, we all know the story about the ham. Do you all know the story about the ham? Yes, some people are nodding. So for those of you who haven't heard about the story about the ham, there was a granddaughter. Remind me, because there was an extended family here tonight, and there was a family for every holiday they would bring a ham. And the way they would prepare it, with that same pineapple that went in the Jell-O mold, they would break out of the mold and break out that pineapple and put it in this 9x12 pan. And what they would do is they would cut off both ends of the ham before they would put it in the oven. And so it was just like a family recipe. It was a tradition, and that's what they would do. And so they finally went to grandmother, who was, she was wise, she was the matriarch of the family, and they just sat at her for her wisdom. They sat at her feet. And they said, well, why do you do that? Is there something special about it? And she says, I don't know why you were doing that, because my pan was too small. That's why I would cut off the end of the hand. That's why. There was no other reason. So we can get a bigger pan. We can get a bigger pan in our life. And it's similar to the Zen story. You know, my friend, the Zen monk, the master, who the student came to him and they were having tea. Do you know this story too? They were having tea. And the master kept pouring tea, and all of this tea was just spilling over and down the table and on the floor and just started flooding everything. And the student says, "Why are you doing that?" And the Zen master said, "Well, if you come with an empty vessel, if you come with some questions, like what if and why not, if you come with that openness and not being so full of answers, and having the ability to ask and to grow in that capacity of nurturing and emerging and connecting with that harmony that's there, to be open and receptive, then your cup is full. Your cup is full because you've come with this empty cup and you've asked those questions. So it's much like having that Eastern philosophy of having the beginner's mind. So this month of creative expression, we have a beginner's mind. We have that empty cup, and we can fill it with that and not have it be cloudy already with whatever that tea had in it. It may have had some milk and sugar and other ingredients. May have had stuff already. Whereas if we poured a fresh cup, a fresh blend, maybe try a new flavor, something that's really delicious and scrumptious, no matter what area of our life we're trying that new flavor out in. So we can ask these 3 magic questions. And we can do that also in visioning. We can have that creativity that happens in the generosity of the flow of the energy. And we'll be doing some more visioning in our community and knowing that there is that, much like the jigsaw puzzle cover, much like the Where's Waldo, we can have those visions of that which is the optimal place in our heart to expand from. And to listen to that, to listen to the harmony, to listen to the connection that's there. There's one more story about not only the box of the puzzle, but there was a choreographer named Twyla Tharp. She would put anything and everything into an empty box. Imagine having an empty box. And so to choreograph, we're all choreographers in our life. And to know that there's that ultimate, that direction, the guidance, the inspiration, that it truly inspires us. She would have this big box and she would put anything in it. She might put an article. She might put a song by the Allendales. She might put whatever that is. It might be food. Might be that, back to food again. And for you guys, it might be about tools. You know, tools to create whatever that blueprint is, and to have visioning be a tool for that original blueprint, whether it's wellness, whether it's peace in our heart, and to know that it's not a choice of having our mind or our heart, but we have that holistic sense of our mind and our heart working together in this image. That image, the thing itself, which is envisioning us, and to see this as a creative harvest. In the book Disciplined Dreaming, it has a creativity self-assessment. It invites us to ask and to see where we are as far as our creativity, what wants to be nurtured, what wants to emerge, as we ask these 3 questions. Why? What if? And why not? Next week we'll be preparing. So again, we'll be asking, we will prepare and ignite, and we'll be discovering. And Discover is actually the week that Eddie Watkins is here. And I have my handful, and I cannot wait for his inspiration, much like the jazz musician Charlie Parker, much even beyond that. He blends this amazing soul music that you can take in. I just love listening, just listening to him, and how inspiring, to inspire something new in myself, because he has a blend of beautiful soul music. He has a blend of inspirational music. There's nothing like it. So I can't wait. So that's on our week of Discover. So I'm discovering something new already by listening already to that, by listening to the Allendales today. And then we'll ignite that, then we'll launch. So everyone ready to launch the creativity that's right here and now? Yeah? Well, how about we affirm together? Let's affirm together as we live, love, and learn and affirm together. We have an affirmation. So if you'll say with me, this is our month affirmation of the month. Today I seek the divine pattern at the center of my own being. Affirming its reality, I permit its essence to flow through me. Claiming it as my very own, I embrace it. And we also have a giving intent as far as giving forth of our love, giving forth of our light, the peace, the joy, the laughter, the improv that I heard with the Dale family, the taking risks and having some improv. You ready for that sweet freedom? You ready? I am free to accept my blessings and to share them with others. I see myself as a giver, a channel of goodness in this world. As I give, I expand my capacity for living, loving, and learning. And so it is. All right. So if you'll just join me in a moment of inner celebration, knowing that there is the exploration of creativity, the creativity of the universe, and taking a deep and profound breath right here and now, and just allowing and accepting this presence, this power, this amazing creative universe, that which created the universe, is here in this very room, is here as this creative expression, as the divine source and the divine resource of all. There is this source and supply of the abundant good, and knowing that there is the invitation, knowing that as in this asking there is that which is already given, and realizing and knowing that there is the satisfaction and fulfillment of itself in the creative flow. There is that which is in the know, in the creative flow, and in my life. And in my life, I know that there is the harmony and the connection and the very presence, the very essence of who I am. And I allow this to be, and knowing that it is set free in this sweet freedom. It is unleashed. It is creatively expressed. And knowing that there is the letting be and being in the groove of the light, for each and every individual here, and knowing that individually and collectively there is the harmonizing presence, there is the freedom, there is the comfort and the caring, and that which is the beauty which shines and shares of itself. There is love, there is peace, there is tranquility, there is the serenity, there is the laughter, the levity, the humor, the being ushered and escorted along the way, being honored and cherished in all areas of life. There is the radiant health, that which is vibrant and energetic, moving as this divine energy, in, through, as, and all around, and realizing that it is the prosperizing good, and knowing that there is the love of which is so exquisite and unique. And so being in the uniqueness of spirit and expressing it fully and creatively, I am so very grateful and appreciative in being in the question of love and asking, knowing it is already here, already given, freely and fully and beautifully. And I release this word into the law, the action of the mind, and knowing that it is the mind and the heart which carries it forward, and just being ushered and letting be and setting free the beauty. And so be it, and so I celebrate, and so it is.